Part 2. Multiplying fractions by whole numbers. Last video we learned how to add fractions with the same denominator. Before we can move on to adding fractions with different denominators, we have to learn how to multiply fractions. We'll start with multiplying fractions by whole numbers. First of all, what is multiplication really? Multiplication is nothing more than complicated addition. 2 times 3 is really just 3 plus 3. 5 times 3 is really just 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Multiplying 3 by 5 is just adding 3 5 times, or adding 5 3 times. The second thing to realize is that when you multiply a fraction by a number, you're just multiplying the pieces of the pie. Let's take 1 over 4 times 2. If you take 1/4 and multiply it by 2, you're creating 2 copies of the same thing. Add those 2 things together and count them. You now have 2 pieces that are 1/4 each, and together they're 2/4. Remember what I said about multiplication just being repeated addition? That applies to fractions too. If you multiply 1 over 4 by 4, you're really just adding 1 over 4 4 times. Remember that when we add fractions with the same denominator, we just take the pieces and count them. Another way to think about multiplying fractions comes from the 2 ways of thinking about fractions that I mentioned earlier. Remember that 3 over 4 can be thought of as 3 fourth-sized pieces of a single thing, or a fourth-sized piece from 3 equal things. If we take 1 over 4 and multiply it by 3, we can think of it as taking 1 over 4 3 times and adding each of those together. Let's do another example. What's 4 times 1/2? Well, first take our circle and cut it in half. Then take 1/2. Multiply that by 4 and then add them together. Now we have 2 whole circles, or 4 halves. So 4 times 1 over 2 equals 4 over 2, which equals 2.